Hi everyone, my name is Marco with Board Game Revolution. Today we have a brand new sneak peek for you. As you see behind me, it is called the Sands of Shurax. It's the new addition to the HEXplore series. Now this is a standalone game, but you can play it with the sister game or the original game. So what we're going to do is go right into an overview, how to play around, and then the highlights of this game. And if you want to skip around, you can take a look at the comments below and have where you can skip to. Well, let's dive right in. HEXplore is a 1 to 6 player cooperative, hero building, press your luck adventure where players will be traversing the waste, completing missions for city-states, discovering ancient and legendary locations and treasures, and fighting off the mysteries of the sand, all while trying to escape the destruction of the Ravager. Each round begins with players deciding to either traverse the sands or set up camp to replenish their health and energy. Here the players decide to travel normally and move north. At any empty edge that they arrive on, they will reveal the next tile. Continuing their movement, they stop on a mission spot. Players now have to roll against their skills, which is on the bottom of their tableau. These checks are to see how well you can survive out in the wild. Players will roll their dice, and any dice that are either a hex or equal to or less than your skill level is a success. Any hex that you roll is a critical success and you get an additional bonus to your skills. Let's go over what each skill does. The navigation skill prevents you from wandering about. If half the party succeeds on this roll, you will not wander. But if half the party fails, you'll begin to wander aimlessly. The explore skill is to see how well you can search for treasure. Any success gives the player 2 gold. If you critically succeed, then not only do you get 2 gold, but you also set up camp and every player heals 1 wound. Last is to see how well you can survive. The survival check is to see if you can forage for food without using your own stockpile. If you succeed, you do not have to eat any of your food. But if you fail, you have to eat your food ratings worth of food. There is an exception though if you're in the waste. No matter if you succeed or have a critical success, if you are traveling within the wastelands, you still have to consume 1 food. If you do not, you start to get heat exhaustion. After all skill checks are done, we will now proceed to the circumstance phase. One player will roll a 6-sided hex die and picking up the circumstance that it matches. If it lands on a 5 or hex, players will need to draw randomly from the circumstance pool, which our players do here and immediately have to battle a Shuraxian mammoth. Battles occur in 3 phases: determine, opponent, and result. For each battle, you'll begin by picking up the battle placard and recording the opponent's health and energy on the placard. Now, players will look at the abilities on the left side of their tableau and choose one to use against the opponent. Basic attacks and defense do not cost energy, yet the 2 masteries will. You will see the cost of those masteries on the top right corner. Once all players have selected their actions, you will record it on the battle placard. Finally, if any character is favored against the opponent, they will then roll a hex die. This is unstoppable damage that either goes to the opponent's health or energy. Not only that, if you roll a hex, you get to roll another die and total up all the values. Now, players will go back to the battle placard and record the additional damage on the bottom of this placard. If they select damage, it will be the exact value, but if they select energy, it will be double the value, exhausting your opponent. Now it's time for the opponent's action to be selected. One player will roll a hex die and compare its value to the actions on the monster card. Once you have the action, players will then roll off to see who it attacks. Now we resolve all the results, and players and the opponent take damage. Once the opponent's health drops to 0, the battle is won and you get your reward. Continuing the game turn, players will now resolve an event if they landed on one of 5 spots: the Oasis, the Mission, the City-State, the Caravan, or the Boss. Each space has their own unique events, and to stay away from spoilers, we won't go into much detail. After the event is complete, it is now time for the villain's turn. Depending on what act it is will determine how the villain moves. Here we are in Act 1, and the villain disappears, destroying any landmarks or buildings that it was on top of. Turns will continue to progress in the same manner, until you complete one of the 4 city-states endgame conditions or your entire party dies. So why should you back HEXplore it, Sands of Shurax? Well, number one, if you're a huge fan of press your luck style games, this is a game you really need to look into. This game, no matter where you're at, if you're in a city, in the surrounding peaceful areas around that city, or in the waste, you feel like you're constantly pressing your luck on where you're going to stop, if you're going to move, if you're going to camp, if you're going to move cautiously, because everything you do feels like it's throwing the book at you and you're just trying to just strive to survive. And that sense of tension is a real good feeling when it comes to a press your luck style game. Number 2, solo play. So this game you can play as a co-op team, or you can play it by yourself and control multiple characters. And I think that's where this game really shines, when you're playing, 2 or 3 or 4 classes and you're just trying to go out into the land, because there's so much front-loaded decision making that in a co-op game it's a lot of back and forth, and then you realize the game lasts a lot longer because you're debating with your teammates on what you're going to do next or what end goal you're going to strive for. But in solo play, this game really flies. So if you're looking for a game that has a real sense of great solo mode, and the sense that you get to control a lot, this is a game for you. And it's just not one of those that's just random cards that you're playing or an automa that you're playing. This is actually you playing the same style of game, just with a purpose. And you'll really like that if you're a solo player. Number 3, the changes between this, the Sands of Shurax, and the other games. So in the other games, you have the land set out for you, and you have relics that you're collecting, and you still have the missions. But with this one, there are no roads. That's right, no roads, and traveling into the waste is very treacherous. And so when you're going out there, you actually have to find caravan spots to make it to the safe zones. And if you don't, and you run out of food, instead of just getting starvation, you also get heat exhaustion, which could kill you a lot faster than monsters, because you're constantly losing energy at the end of every round. And not only that, when you get starvation, if you don't find food quick enough, you die. I mean, it just happens like that, where you end up where it's like you're starving and you're losing double the amount of energy. Then you're getting to the point where you can't even use your energy and abilities. And then finally you just are stuck in the waste and you become a pile of bones. And that's what it actually says in the book, says that you will die. And if you do, you can choose to start the game again or re-roll characters. So be careful when you're traveling into this game, because that's a huge change compared to HEXplore it. Not only that, there's also the caravans. Now this caravan system works where you're actually traveling through time. And I like that mechanic of this game, because you are revealing a caravan master onto the board and saying, hey, let me bribe you maybe to go to the city I want to go to, or you're just kind of dependent on wherever they're going if you don't have the money. And not only that, when you're traveling, these events pop up, which is really cool part of this game, because you're going through, again, time, and actually it's progressing the acts as well, because the Ravager can move while you're just trying to travel to a city. And number 4, the character building part. So this is where it feels like D&D. So you are choosing a class and a race, and you're putting your stats together to get your base character. And then not only that, as you are progressing throughout the game, whether it's doing missions, getting these little catastrophes that are happening in front of you, to even just going into irradiated areas, your character will level up and or change, because that's another change to this game from other HEXplore, is a mutation system, which actually kind of hurts you, but at the same time gives you these really interesting benefits, such as wings or double your size, monster strength, which is really interesting and a unique take on a level up system, because it's not just, oh, you're getting to level up these stats. No, you're actually mutating into new beings by sprouting wings, actually, which is really kind of cool, and one of those aspects you don't see in many games. So if you like what you see here, make sure to check out HEXplore, The Sands of Shurax, on Kickstarter in August. My name is Marco. Guys, thank you for joining me. If you like our content, please make sure to subscribe or check out our other stuff such as our interviews, our live streams, and content from Tony. Guys, have a great night.